The trade war between the United States and China, what's the impact so far, and what are the major concerns for the future? Hello, I'm Mike Walter, filling in for Anna Naidu, and this is The Heat. The trade war that was launched last Friday when the U.S. imposed a 25% tariff on $34 billion of imports from China is causing global concern. China retaliated with its own tariffs on U.S. products, and there are fears of future further escalations. Meanwhile, China's Premier Li Keqiang is in Europe, where he's talking trade with Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel and leaders from Central and Eastern Europe. We begin with CGTN's Jessica Stone, who joins us now from the White House. And Jessica, just a few days into this trade war, what sort of impact is it having so far, and what sort of reaction are we getting from China and the United States?
Well, so far in watching the markets, we aren't seeing a bunch of reaction when it comes to stock market lows. The U.S. stock market closed again up today, just as it did on Friday, and the Chinese stock market actually had its best day in 2 years. But we are closely watching things like the value of the yuan and the layoffs in China. Perhaps in the short term, we expect to see more layoffs there than in the United States, but the United States has more to lose in terms of layoffs over the long term. And what we're really watching closely here in the U.S. is the impact of those Chinese retaliatory tariffs on American farm communities and energy-dependent communities, because they were targeted with laser-like focus, Mike, as you know, on people who put Donald Trump in office. And so when the price of soybeans goes down, when large shipments are moved to Brazil instead of the United States by China, this is going to be pain that's felt by American farmers and by people that can not only impact the White House, but the short term, the November elections of people that are in his party. Now, we are aware that the U.S. imports far and away more imports far and away more than the Chinese do when it comes to this exchange. So in the short term, we should see that the U.S. can target more Chinese imports for its tariffs than the Chinese can. But even though that's the case, the Chinese Commerce Ministry has said that it can take comprehensive measures to restrict investment on U.S. companies who want to be in the China market, to sell more than $1 trillion of U.S. government debt that Beijing holds, and even to impact diplomatic efforts over the DPRK. And in fact, President Trump sort of pointing a tweet at Beijing earlier, suggesting that China is encouraging Pyongyang with, quote, negative pressure because of, quote, our posture on Chinese trade. Hope not, says the president. Now, it's not really clear, Mike, that Trump has a plan here. He's already turned down offers, as you know, from Beijing to buy more goods, and that would have an impact on the China-U.S. trade deficit. In fact, it could be whittled down significantly simply if China buys more farm goods, for example. So at this point, both countries watching closely, but so far the impact felt more keenly in Chinese financials than U.S. financials. Back to you.
Jessica, thanks so much.